already heading towards the end of April, and for me it's time to get my most favourite crop on the grow. When it comes to that age-old question of what is my favourite produce to grow, sometimes it can depend on the time of year as to what's actually growing. However, my go-to all the time is my sweet corn. Now I'm really excited this year to be having my two different varieties from two different UK-based companies. Now the first ones that I have are actually my Goldcrest, and I love these ones. They do really well in my growing area, and I usually on a good year have between sort of 4 or 5 cobs per plant. Now these have come from Brighter Blooms, and what I'll notice about these ones is when we look at the seeds, usually they are just those really stereotypical yellow dried kernels that we actually get on the cobs themselves. However, what I've noticed on these ones is they have this sort of pinky orangey tinge to them. Now this does mean that they have been treated with pesticides and fungicides, and that's not necessarily something which is good for organic growers. However, the guys at Brighter Blooms do also have an organic range as well. What I also noticed about this one is it is an F1 variety, which means that I won't be able to save the seeds from this one anyway. Not I would with sweet corn, and reasons for that will come later. And that's because they will not be true to the original sort of mother plant, because they have been sort of developed organically over time. Now my second variety, which I'm so excited about, is actually again from the fabulous She Grows Veg, and it is these ones which are the glass gems. Now the glass gems are different in the fact that they are not for sort of eating off the cob. These are ones which you will dry out, and these are going to be great for popping corn. Now this is particularly good for me because my youngest son at the moment is a little bit obsessed with popcorn, so I'm really looking forward to growing these. Now again, when we look at these seeds, they look exactly how the cobs actually look on the picture. The seeds themselves are multiple colours, and that's because again they are very different. Now when it comes to actually sowing these, once they are in the compost and they start to kick off that foliage, I am not going to be able to tell which ones are which until they start to develop those actual cobs themselves. So it's really important on this one that I do label them very carefully, because I'm going to need to keep these guys apart from each other. Again, that's some information for another day. So very simply, in my seed cell trays, so I'm going to go for these ones which are actually quite deep. I'm just going to sow one kernel in each of these ones. Now this isn't because they're particularly big, they certainly aren't very big seeds, and they're not going to do that sort of little dance and twisty thing that our runner beans will do, but it's because I want to make sure that I'm establishing really good root systems. If we think about the size of sweet corn, we need to make sure that they're going to be well and truly anchored into the ground. So just filling up my seed tray and making sure that I'm patting down that compost so it has a nice firm amount of soil for the actual seeds to grab onto. I'm just with my finger going to stick a hole right in the middle of each of these ones. Now I'm going to go about a centimetre and a half down, and then just in each of these putting one of my sweet corns. Now once I've done that, again just like we do with our normal everyday seed sowing, I'm just going to cover those over, water them in, and again because we are in April heading into May, it's really warm. I don't need to put these in a propagator or propagator lid. They are going to be absolutely fine in this unheated greenhouse. You see behind me some of those French beans from last week already starting to appear, and have just been happy as anything in this greenhouse. So lots of things to sow. I also have the area where my nice Goldcrest is going to be going this year to clear and sort out. Oh, I've got about 4 or 5 weeks before these will be going out, and that needs to be really sorted. So sweet corn, absolutely my favourite, and the popping corn is something I'm really excited about this year.